Hey everybody, we're going to be doing the results of the antibiotic sensitivity plates today. So I have my plates here with my ruler and the chart that's in your lab manual. So the chart that's in your lab manual is what you are going to need whenever you're doing the results of these tests, okay? So normally, whenever you would have came back from the midterm, we would have read these results and used your chart, and so you could see if the bacteria was sensitive, resistant, or intermediate to the antibiotics that we used. So if you remember, we had three different plates, three different bacteria. We had our Pseudomonas, our E. coli, and our staph plates. And if you can remember, we inoculated these by swabbing them. We swabbed all over the plates. Then you brought them to me, and we put our antibiotic sensitivity, our antibiotic discs on the plates. So, sorry, there's a little bit of a glare. Okay, so there's our 4 discs. Okay, this is the E. coli plate, but all of them have the 4 discs on them. And so we let them incubate for so many days, and then we are able to read them. So to read them, you would need your ruler. Okay, and I have a ruler here that looks just like the ones that you use in class. And if you look on it, there's an inches side, and then there's a centimeter side, okay? This is science, so we're going to use the metric system, so we are going to use the centimeter side. Now, if you want, while I'm doing this, you can open up your lab manual to the page at the end of your lab manual. Let me see, I think it's page, let me see if I can see what page it is. I'm not sure what page it is, but it's in the antibiotic sensitivity exercise, and it's going to be the almost the very last page, okay? And at the top of that is a little chart that tells you the measurements, okay? And you'll notice that those measurements are in millimeters, not centimeters. So there are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. So each little tick mark is 1 millimeter. So 1 centimeter would be 10 millimeters. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you use millimeters to measure, because those measurements on that chart are in millimeters. So if you accidentally measure it in centimeters, then you're going to be getting the wrong answer. So we're going to measure our zone of inhibitions, see how large they are, and then use the chart to tell us if it is the bacteria is sensitive, resistant, or intermediate to that certain antibiotic. Now, I'm not going to do all of these just because there's no reason to repeat it over and over and over again, but I'm going to do a couple different ones, explain to you how to use the chart, and then we'll be done. It's not going to take that long, okay? So first we're going to start, let's just start with the E. coli plate first, okay? So there's my E. coli plate, and you can see the growth. All these are colonies, and then you see my discs, and then you can see that there's that area where there's absolutely no growth around that disc, okay? And that's that zone of inhibition that I'm going to be measuring. So I'm going to take my ruler, try to get it closer so you can see. So that antibiotic disc is the gentamicin one. That's the one that's GM, gentamicin. So I'm going to take my ruler, and let's see. I'm going to take the diameter of the zone of inhibition. So the full diameter of the circle. Okay, bear with me. I'm doing this backwards for me. And that is 25 millimeters. Okay, so that radius, that full radius, is 25 millimeters. Now, so this is for E. coli, so I need to look at my charts. E. coli. So, and I said 25, and this is for gentamicin, so 25. So it has to be greater or less than 15. Well, 25 is greater than 15. So E. coli is sensitive to gentamicin. Now, if we were coming back to school and you'd be taking your final in person, you'd be doing this yourself on the practical part. So you want to actually be doing it yourself, but it's still important for you to know how to do this. So that's the gentamicin. Let's do the erythromycin, which is the one with the E. So we're going to take our ruler, line it up, okay, and I'd say that's about 19 millimeters. Okay, let's see, maybe I'm trying to find a good Yeah, I'd say about 18. So let's use 18, and that's for erythromycin. So 18. So that's right at sensitive. Okay, so it's greater than or has to be greater than or less than 18, and it is. So that is right at sensitive. So, of course, now if you look at penicillin, there is no zone of inhibition there at all. So penicillin does not kill E. coli at all. And of course, the coli is a gram-negative organism. So penicillin's not going to do anything for that. Now, if you look at Pseudomonas, you'll notice that erythromycin, penicillin, and tetracycline. Tetracycline has a zone, but it is super, super small. So tetracycline's zone is, I'd say about 13 for tetracycline. So it's resistant still because the zone is so small. Now, if you look at the gentamicin, that one is resistant. That one is sensitive. So Pseudomonas is pretty resistant to a lot of stuff. Now, if you look at staph, which is my gram-positive bacteria, Pseudomonas and E. coli are both gram-negative. My staph is gram-positive. Look at all those zones. Look how big they are, okay? Trying to get it to where it's not. There we go. So you see all those zones? They are really large, okay? So staph is very, very sensitive to these 4 antibiotics that we chose. So gentamicin, it's like 35. Penicillin, which of course works on gram-positive organisms really well, is at 55. Erythromycin is 45. And tetracycline is like 35. So all of these are very, very large zones. So staph for these 4 antibiotics is very, very sensitive to these 4. Now, if you used other ones, because like I said, with these large plates, we could test up to 12 antibiotics. So you could potentially find one that, of course, would work on the Pseudomonas and the others. So that's all you have to do to read results for the Kirby Bauer test. And remember, the auger is called Mueller-Hinton. Simply measure the zone of inhibition, get your measurement in millimeters, then use your chart, and you will always be provided with the chart. You don't have to memorize the chart. So even on the quiz, on your final written exam, I'm always going to give you the chart. You're never going to have to memorize the chart. So as long as you can use a ruler, measure, and then be able to read the charts, then you'll be able to get all of these answers correct. Okay? All right, good luck. I'll be posting a quiz to go with this relatively soon.